What's going on, YouTubers? What's poppin'? East New York's finest, hosted by Mike. Anybody out there who know me know my profession. Anybody who knows me privately, off and out of YouTube, I like to keep it that way. I like keeping. I do public videos and stuff like that, but I like to keep my private occupations and things I've done outside of YouTube, because if a lot of people knew my occupation, what I did for a living and stuff like that, they would be very shocked and they'd be like, holy crap. I would always like to keep it that way, to where, you know, my retired occupation stays where it is. I'm always going to be a black male in this country before I'm anything. The history of this country is wicked and evil. Man is naturally not wicked, but the actions of a lot of men make it a wicked world, which it does not have to be. I do come up here and I rant a lot, and it's not out of anger, it's out of pure emotion. Some people may say I'm being egotistical or angry, mad, envious. It's none of that. I've always been one of the very few people up here on YouTube since the beginning of YouTube and eBay, and always spit and spoke the truth. I always try to fight for truth and justice. A lot of people just misconstrued it, what I say, twist it around, and have their own agendas because they follow behind trolls and other individuals. I've always been the first and last person up here to always spit and speak the truth, whether it hurts or whether you like it or not, or whether you like my voice, my face, me or not. I've always been a person that always been truthful and straightforward up here. I feel the way I do toward Biden and his administration, and I would never apologize for that. I would never want anybody to purposely and or think out of raw emotion and or anger, I wish somebody would JFK him. I would never say that. I would and have gone on saying that if it happens naturally in his sleep, then so be it. I think he's a cruel and wicked person. So are politicians and everybody else out there who allow a lot of this senseless shit to go on. You see, everybody's so forthcoming on being welcome or welcoming in fairy tales, religion, and all this other stuff, but they don't see the true meaning behind all this stuff. There's always a catch-22 to everything in life. Because black folks, a lot of times, only want to come to help each other when the bad happens. And when senseless shit happens, when whites, Asians, or Hispanics or somebody kill a bunch of black folk, it's always racially motivated. But when we do it to others, nobody screams racism or nothing like that. Now, black folks helped get this guy in office because they were tired of Trump's senseless talking and stuff like that. I mean, you know, he kind of screwed himself out of office. But he was the better. He was the better evil, in my eyes. He's not a saint, but if I had to pick a president between the two of them, I'd pick Trump without even taking a beat of breath. And it's not about his "Make America Great Again" and all that. All I know is I wasn't personally affected financially and or in any way by this man being in office, but we are all affected by Biden being in office. I personally have a genuine dislike toward him because I knew what and how he was as vice president. He was not taken serious, and then having this creature who's his vice president is just as bad. You know what I mean? So we're screwed for another 3 years automatically. And then the thing that really irks me and get me upset is the simple fact that people don't read in between the lines. See, people think people like me are conspiracy theorists. We're crazy. We're this, that, and third. We're the truth tellers. We're the truth believers, the truth thinkers. And we're a threat to society because society and politicians and everybody teach you people out there to think that we're the loony googles, that we're the crazy ones. In reality, we're the smart ones. We're the ones that not only think outside the box, we don't even allow you to put us in the fucking box in the first place. Ever since I was a child growing up, I always knew, like Stanley always had this thing with him where he always said, great power come great responsibility. That cannot be no further from the truth. But at the same time, with great power come great conspiracy, I like to say. I would say it again, with great power come great conspiracy. Because sometimes in order for you to keep that power, you have to devour those underneath you or beneath you. The only way you can be up, think about it, look at a step ladder. You only go up when you take ladders and you take steps to get to this position. So therefore, you have to step on something lower than you to be higher. And that's the same with these politicians, the lawmakers, and the true evil, wicked, corrupt, and malicious hypocrites out there stay in power by conquering through fear, despair, envy, hatred, stereotypical racism. See, y'all so stupid and deluded out there that you don't realize that Big Brother don't give a flying fuck whether you were born in the projects in East New York and or you come from some damn trailer park in Texas. They don't give a damn if you're a meth user or meth lab owner. You're in the same boat. The only difference that make you a tad better than me is the fact that you have less melanin in your skin. You may have blonde hair and blue eyes, but they look at you as even worse of a parasite than me, because you are an embarrassment to them because you're trailer trash, because you're nothing. You are basically the navel lint that I took out of my belly button with my hand. You know what I mean? That's the way they look at you. And it's depressing because a lot of white folks, Jews, whatever you want to call them, and or whoever, fought side by side to not only free blacks, but even during slavery and shit. Even other slave owners, people who own and work on plantations, did not like a lot of things they see black, Native Americans, and all the people go through. But a lot of people weren't going to risk themselves, their ass, their family, their income, their businesses, or their life. Well, a lot of people did, but to help others that won't help themselves. You know what I mean? So how you think a lot of black folks learned to read? How you think a lot of Indians did survive? Because there are some out there that did think it was wicked and evil what their peers and their people of their race, culture, upbringing, and countrymen did that was malicious, that was disgusting. And again, you can't hate every and all races, because let me tell you something. When you mix a race with another race, you get a beautiful, intellectual individual. You get a nice, handsome guy, and or you get a nice, sexy, beautiful female. You know what I'm saying? Opposites attract for a reason. When you mix white and black, you get gray. When you mix brown and red, you get like a purple. I mean, the list goes on and on. When you mix brown and yellow, you get a nice tan color. I mean, either way you look at it, what makes us different is variety. Nobody wants to eat the same food all day, every day. Different foods, different seasonings, different ingredients. I was going to say Papa John's. Anyway, you guys get my point. I had to kind of throw a little joke in there to kind of break up this monotony. I said it wrong, but you guys know what I meant. You know what I mean? I am just so tired of it. I mean, in my lifetime, while I'm still on this planet, I would never, ever, ever leave this earth and take my last breath knowing that my children and my children's children are not going to deal with racism. I have to lay down and take my last breath, only praying and hoping after my life ends that my children are going to be okay, that my grandchildren are going to be okay. You know, every time my son goes outside, and every time I hear a boom and I hear a siren, even when I'm up here, I'm like, oh my God, did a cop just pull my son over? Every time I see all this crazy shit on the news, I gotta sit here and worry about, hey, my wife takes the train to the city. My daughter lives in Harlem. My daughter takes the train to the city. She lives with a homosexual roommate. You know what I mean? Doesn't matter to me. He takes care of her, and they cool. And as long as she's happy, and whatever goes on in their personal life as roommates, if you're not putting me on, invite me to it, or giving me my 2 cents, I just have to assume the best. At the end of the day, I don't hate him because of his sexual preference or whatnot. I don't like him or dislike him because I personally think I have my own opinions on certain things, and it has nothing to do with him being homosexual. I just, I'm just gonna leave it as that. This, I feel a certain way about certain things that I don't want to comment on, and I just feel that something's going on that I don't know about, and I'm pretty upset about it because I always told my kids the worst thing you could ever do is hide things from me and your mother. The best and only smart thing to do is always be truthful, because I've always been truthful to my children. I always expect the same respect and the same thing back, but we know how it is. We were kids once too. So at the end of the day, my door's always going to be there. My door's always going to be open. But sometimes, my wife always leaves her window open, so they fly through all the time. But they never want to knock on my door unless they really got to get in. Unless there's somebody behind them going Other than that, they really just fly through the window every once in a while and pick up some breadcrumbs from the wife. That's how it is. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. But, do I think my children love me? Of course. That's undeniably true. You know what I mean? Same thing with the wife. They put up with me and put up with a lot of my shit and vice versa, because that's what families are for. That's what families do. I don't particularly have a great rapport or relationship with a lot of people outside my home as far as my blood relatives go, because we're not on the same thing, and I'm not into a lot of ish they're into. And I always kept my children away from my family's drama. And whatever drama we have going on, we keep it within our circle. I'm the kind of person that it took me 3.5 years just to tell my wife and kids I had cancer. That I am in remission. I have bone cancer. I survived it. I became diabetic. What I did, you guys seen the transformation yourself. I mean, hell, look at this. Look how baggy this thing is. This thing was almost tight on me 2.5 years ago. And look how big this is. I am a living testament to a person that survived 2 illnesses and is still here. I took that. I lost all that weight. I worked out. I watched what I ate. I disciplined myself, and I'm still here to talk about it. No more heart attacks, knock on wood. Even when I had my first heart attack, I wasn't diabetic. I didn't have high blood pressure. Doctors said it was stress related. Second one, same thing. Third one, same thing. And all of a sudden, I'm using the bathroom so much. And boom, just like that. Hey, we gotta keep you. Keep me for what? Dude, your blood sugar is 577. My mouth dropped. I didn't know what that was, but the way the doctors and nurses came in and looked at me, I had 2 nurses, 3 doctors standing there. My wife was halfway asleep in the chair because I told her I'm going to the hospital. I drove myself to the hospital, and she had to take a cab home. Her mouth dropped. And she can't. And when I tell somebody, "Hey, I'm going to the hospital," that's an emergency, because everybody knows I'm the kind of guy that don't go to the hospital for nothing. If I go to the hospital, it's dire. Just like when my foot broke. You know what I mean? That's me. I'm also the kind of guy, God forbid, if somebody ever set me up in a car accident and they find blood alcohol in my blood, they would contest that to the end of the world, because everybody know I'm not an alcoholic. I never drink. It never happens. Never will. And they know they will fight to their last breath until they leave this earth, proving my innocence, knowing that I've never picked up any kind of drug and or alcohol. There's no way on this earth. I never even took weed when doctors was going to give me that stuff for my illness, and I never took it. I don't even take medication unless I really, really need it. You understand? Now, moving back on to this stuff here. I'm emotional. This is an emotional video. And at the beginning of the video, I had to change subjects because I was about to start crying like a little baby. You don't have to know people to know what your people go through in life. Native Americans have a hidden hatred in them because of what their ancestors went through. But then when they do it, it's like, oh God, here we go. But whenever the people of Israel do it, it's oh, you got to show compassion. You got to this and that. But at the end of the day, their history shows and repeats itself on how they're so hated and why so much things go on. But at the same time, because of their unity and their strong ties and blood within themselves, is why they own and have so much. And it's okay for them to call you all types of Goyams and Schwarzes and this and that. And that's a form of racism and stereotypical nonsense. But then when you do it to them, they get easily offended. Oh, we got to end this for them. These Jew bashing sons of you know what. And it's just deplorable on how hypocritical society is. You know, black folks don't have unity because it's just deplorable. You got this Black Lives Matter movement chick out here buying homes and doing all types of other sick sadistic shit with money that's meant to be out there to help others. Only time you really see Al Sharpton and so many others come forward is when somebody outside of a dark skin color with melanin in their skin do something to a large group of people. Here come the nigger leaders coming out to do all this. But you'll never see Black Lives Matter movie. You never see Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, even Louis Farrakhan. You never see none of these motherfucking so-called leaders come out to feed the homeless. You get regular local churches do it, but not only are they taxes them, but they get a lot of stipends and shit from the government to do this. So it's not like they do it really for praise. They do it, everybody do things for themselves, mass majority of the time. You know what I'm saying? Everybody wants good press. Even if you do it to do it, you still do it for press. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people, not everybody's like that, but I'm just so sick and tired of seeing these people. They always, and I can agree that, there are some things that go on behind the camera that they do, and they're but at the end of the day, how many times you see a lot of blacks get killed? How many times you don't see a lot of these motherfuckers run around walking up to drug dealers and dudes in the street and homeless, hey, we need to do better. Nobody preaches that. But every time a white man or somebody do and kill a black person, you don't see Jackie Chan or Jet Li or the Abbott from the Abbott from Chinatown do a conference every time a Asian person got beat up or beat half to death or something by a black person. You don't see Eric Estrada or George Lopez or somebody come forth every time a Hispanic is killed by a black person. You don't see Reverend Ike or I don't think there's such thing. But you don't see Jimmy Swaggart or what's that guy who be like, I'm gonna talk to y'all today from Texas. Anyway, you don't see a lot of these other people sitting there, talking all this jibber jabber every time a black person kills, rape, or rob a white person. But at the same time, all those groups I mentioned, they do for their community. They do to help progress their communities and do for others and themselves. That's why we notice you get so many Hispanics that own almost all types of businesses. Most businesses blacks own are either Muslim or halal shops, a little bakery here and there, a West Indian restaurant or soul food restaurant, overpriced. The stores or businesses look like crap, very disorganized, very argumentative, very defensive, very passive aggressive, move very slowly, very overpriced to their own people. But then they'll go and spend money outside the community, but don't put nothing back in their community. Then when somebody in the community comes to spend money in their community, they still take that money outside the community and don't invest in the community. And at the same time, treat their own people within their community like shit. This is why blacks always keep going through the revolving, Willie Lynch, Jim Crow fucking thing, because like we are a cursed people within ourselves. It goes back through the history of Africa. It just is what it is. Black folks never gonna get nowhere in life until we start loving each other and ourselves. Until then, you can't never sit there and expect somebody to lead you to the water and you don't drink. You can't expect somebody to lead you to the water, get you there, pamper you, put the fucking water in a cup, make sure it's clean, put ice in it, make you comfortable, sit you down, put a bib on you, and then turn around, put the cup towards your mouth, and help and pamper you into drinking it. That's ridiculous. Now, I was very upset, very angry and bitter when that crazy, red-headed, sick, sadistic, white supremacist, crazy-ass moron killed 9 people in a church back in, I think, 2017, if I'm not mistaken. There was no celestial being. There was no Jesus, no God, no nothing from the Bible. Nothing warning these people, nothing shielding these people from this crazy white boy. He was he was real non-fiction hate with a real non-fiction gun that fired real non-fiction bullets. People were in a house of worship, a house of fictional worship, doing fictional things, doing fictional faith, and they all lost their non-fictional lives in non-fictional pain, bleeding non-fictional blood, and their family had to pay non-fictional prices to put them all on the ground. Now this boy is still running around breathing. He's protected by the system. Speaking of protection, not even a damn paper cut was on this kid when they handcuffed him. Sheriff brought this dude burgers from Burger King out his own pocket. Doesn't matter if they held a bell or whatnot. The whole point of the matter is, why would you even entertain a bell? They gave this dude $1 million bell for killing 9 people. See, when the country is built on racism, hate, divide, conquer, and all this sick, sadistic shit, you get my age, you do not get or become shocked by anything in life. There are a lot of true wicked people in every race. But history shows and proves who conquered the world, who ran around thinking they own everything, and who are truly extremely wicked. They may call us drug dealing thugs and this and that, but ain't no Uzis made in Harlem, baby. Ain't no fucking meth labs in the Bronx. No cocaine come from Sugar Hill. No crack come from Brownsville. No dope comes from fucking Brooklyn. When you keep and back people in the corner, they're gonna do whatever they can to survive. Just like everybody sit there and say the Somalians are animals. They're malicious people. You have these people living on a land that nobody does anything for. They got to fend for themselves. Very intellectual people who have to fend for themselves. So if you're going to pass through their territories and their waters, and if they figure they could try to go out to sea and do what they got to do to survive, what the fuck do you expect from them? You can't sit there and have a person sitting on the ground in the hot ass heat and then judge them and get mad at them if somebody else who's hydrated urinates, and you get mad and call them all types of names and say it's disgusting because they're trying to lick up that urine. That's fucking ridiculous. You have to figure out a way to survive. And that's the same way it is for people in the hood. You know, the system, let's face it, the projects was not made for people of color. It wasn't made for blacks and minorities. It was made for Europeans coming over here from Europe. The problem is, during when they start making a lot of these housing developments in the 60s and 70s, especially, 50s to early 70s, the mistreatment of colored folks down in the South was winding down, but people needed more work. A lot of white-owned businesses were tired of having blacks work for them and whatnot. People wanted to go more north. So people went to New York and Chicago. And some went to California, whatever. They went wherever the jobs were, and a lot of companies, plant companies in Detroit and Chicago and California and even upstate New York, all over New York, There were better jobs out there, and it was a little better equality compared to what it was in the South. So a lot of the city owned these developments, and it's like we have nowhere to put these motherfuckers. So it's like, all right, well, temporarily we'll put them in the housing projects. So, and then every city and every state just started to abandon it, and they just got tired of it, and they just like, you know what, whatever. They made it very low, very high security risk, very low income, almost nothing needed. They stopped taking care of it. They took out a lot of programs around these areas. They did a lot of things, and now the projects are known for what they are known for. And everybody just still think anybody who live in the projects are bums. I know lawyers, doctors. I know people that have good, prestigious careers now that come from the projects. Look at Jay-Z. Jay-Z's wife is a badass chick in the business. Sexy ass fine woman. Who comes from a good upbringing. From Texas. And this is a guy who's born and raised around roaches and rats. Projects and roaches and rats. In Marcy Projects. I'm from Brooklyn. I know how devastatingly bad projects, a lot of projects in New York and Brooklyn especially are, especially Marcy Projects. This is a man that got 3 beautiful kids now. I don't like his choice of where he live at in LA, but at the end of the day, this is a guy that went through fire and brimstone, made something of himself, and now he's living a good life. We may not be able to live that extravagant, but I consider myself just as rich as him. I mean, I may not financially be stable and or have people know who I am and kissing my butt and this and a third, but I feel a guy who came from the projects and on welfare himself, being a guy who come from a broken home, who was raised by a child who made children. I mean, a child who had children, young. I consider myself rich in a lot of ways. I may not be paper and filthy rich like a lot of people out there, but I'm definitely in a way better position than a lot of others. You see, I'm the kind of person that always been truthful and always been straightforward. Now, with that basically being said, I sat up here and watched this conference. I'm not a big news guy. I don't really read the news and all that. Every once in a while, I may just gather information, put it in my head, and then wait to latch out and whatnot. But we as human beings on this planet need to stop this shit. I'm not going to sit here and say white people are evil, but I'm not going to sit here and say that they should think that they're exempt from the evil and hatefulness of their race and their colored the people of that color actions. I don't think white people should feel guilty for what other white folks do. But at the end of the day, there's not one white person out there that don't have family members that they know and maybe don't know that are racist, don't like black people, don't like anybody but them, but they own. They've heard this grown up in their house. Every white person on the face of this planet has heard somebody in their family use a disrespectful term to a people of color. Had a lot of hatred and anger to a people of color. You may not grow up believing in that. Maybe not your father, your mother, but you have relatives in your family, blood relatives that either had owned slaves, feel the same way this kid do and worse. Just like almost everybody in their family who happens to be black or Hispanic knows somebody who's incarcerated, knows somebody who did a crime, robbed somebody, maybe even murdered somebody. We all got that. You got somebody in your family that's homosexual. You got somebody in your family that's a dope fiend or a crackhead. We all have skeletons in our closets. You personally may not be affected and or have done something, but we all have people in our family that has done unthinkable things. Our ancestors. I know I got ancestors that were slaves. I mean, duh. I have ancestors that helped freed and did things. I have ancestors that killed white folks, and that's why a lot of my family escaped from North Carolina to come up here. You understand? And just like white folks have people in their family that own slaves, who were slave masters themselves. But then you got white folks out here who had people that helped free, who actually went up against their own and they freed people because they thought they were people. You look at them as people. The system can make or break you. The system didn't break me. The system helped me make myself. But then you got some that can't take it, and they become Timothy McVeigh's. They become Chris Donors. They become people like Micah Xavier Johnson. The reason why I'm bringing these three up, oh, excuse me. Oh, yeah, I had to write these three. I mean, everybody knows who Timothy McVeigh is. This was a white guy. During the Waco, Texas raid, when the feds, let's face it, when the feds do things, they are malicious. Their prison systems are way worse than the worst dungeons of state-ran correctional facilities. Trust me, because they are malicious. They can be very, very nasty, and their prisons can be way worse than your worst state-ran prison. Don't think because they feds that they good. They're not. Now, when the feds raided, they burnt out the so-called cult because they didn't give a fuck. They knew there were children there. They didn't give a fuck. They didn't give the children or people time to get these children out when they was like, all right. They burnt the fucking everybody down. People got shot. Children died. Children were burnt to death. Children had, through autopsies, children have been shot by bullets that came from federal weapons. They hid it all because it's the feds. The feds are your worst enemy than regular state law. Trust me. They're corrupt, sick, sadistic motherfuckers. Alphabet boys. You ever heard when you look in a movie or in the military or something, you always hear, oh, well, this is, but, hey, I can't tell you, you're below my pay grade. That means a lot. Go look that up. I know what it means, but I'm not going to tell you. Go look it up for yourself and see what they mean when they say that's below your pay grade and why so many people, even in movies, they get offended. It's true facts. So Timothy McVeigh got upset and he took it upon himself to blow up the Oklahoma City federal building. It killed children and they killed a lot of federal agents. That was his way of letting them know that one man can make a difference. And you know what? You all motherfuckers need to learn. And that's why, even though he was white, it wasn't part of a conspiracy they were building up. He truly did that. So they was like, yo, we got to kill this motherfucker. Not only we got to set an example, but yo, this shit is crazy. Like, we are not invincible. We think we are, but we're not. If a motherfucking guy like this can do that, and he served the military, he served the army. Moving on to Christopher Donor. This is a black brother that, grew up, joined the military, joined the Marine Corps. He see what goes on overseas. A lot of, y'all think racism is here? A lot of racism and sick, sadistic shit by a lot of sworn-in soldiers go and they get deployed, and a lot of them do mentally fucked up shit to other people that they are trained and they consider not to be human out there in the field, and they do a lot of sick, sadistic shit. This guy's seen a lot of crazy shit and see what they do, and it was disgusting. It was deplorable. He comes over here. He comes back home. He already had issues with his superior officers and just knowing how white America is ran. Because let's face it, we all know. Some of us just mentally and spiritually know how to deal with it and go about things differently. Like what I'm doing up here on YouTube. And he joined one of the most racist, segregated police departments in the U.S., in California, of course, LAPD. This brother, a white cop did some disrespectful shit. He tried to get her in trouble for it. And because he wasn't playing as a teammate, and him being a person of color, they decided to discredit him. He lost his job. He got sick and tired of LA. They kept fucking with him. He said, fuck it. They want to play these games. I'm going to wedge war on them because they wedge war on everybody else. I am not sitting here and taking up for any of these people I mentioned in actions, but I understand. I will never say that they did the right thing, but sometimes, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. But at the same time, what happened and other people getting hurt and killed is wrong, but I understand. Now, he was in the military, obviously the Marine Corps. And, he got sick and tired of it, wedge war on them, start killing them off. Fucked up system. This system actually trains and breeds domestic terrorism out of hatred because it's a country built on hatred. Until you can heal others and be healed, things will keep revolving. Things will keep being repetitive. Keep going in circles, going in circles. All technology and everything does now is show you firsthand what goes on. You don't have to wait for the police to release this and release that after they depict and take shit out. You got people that can do that on the phone now. Your phone is your library, your camcorder, your Nikon camera. It's everything. You have everything at your fingertips. Hell, you could do a video live to where if cops try to destroy your phone, it already went live. You can put something on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram in a matter of seconds. That's what everything is right now. So they can't hide things the way they used to be able to hide things before. It's crazy. What can I say? I'm just sick and tired of every time you turn around, blacks to keep getting killed. And everybody think because they put up George Floyd statues and they run around, you know, saying, doing these dumbass protests that goes nowhere, leads nowhere. White folks in the city, they know that. They're like, let the niggas sit there and do their little stupid ass bullshit every couple of weeks or a month. It'll die down and it'll be back to business. And I always said this on my videos, and look what's happening. Blacks are still getting killed by fucking racist, sick ass cops who other people protect. But then y'all can't understand why people like Chris Donner did what he did, and then him doing what he did, you looked at like you alienated him like he's a sick son of a bitch. When in reality, it's the sick, sadistic system that's ran by sons of bitches create these people. At the end of the day, who becomes a real victim? Not only the victims that were killed by the hands of these people, but then, you know, the victim themselves who sacrifice themselves to think they're doing a greater good, when in reality, they're just doing exactly what Big Brother wanted them to do in the first place. Big Brother don't give a flying fuck about any of us. I don't give a damn how rich you are, how powerful. You're not part of the elite organization. They do not care about you. Now all of a sudden, I've been sitting here talking about aliens for years. I'll be like, oh, this motherfucker. Hey, he go. Now he getting even more extravagant. You gotta be a real idiotic person to sit there and think you're that special. You're that important. Your life is that important to anything, to where, you know, we're the only thing in this universe or in existence. That's a real dumb, idiotic, entitled persona that you have in your mind, to sit back and think that you're that significant when you're not. None of us are. Maybe to your loved ones and people that, you know, people that are special in your life. But in the grand scheme of things, when my brother passed away last year, I seen a man I grew up loving, a man who knew me before I was me, laying in a casket. All I could think of, if this was a movie, I would have flashbacks of our childhood. And I seen it. I'm standing over this man, laying, in reality, laying there, dead, gone. To this day, I don't see no spirits. I don't see or I don't get no signs from anybody I lost in my life who passed away. I don't hear shit. I don't feel nothing. There's no celestial this, nothing. There's nothingness. When he was laying there, that was it. You're thought of, I mean, you're going to be thought of through life by people. But the most important time in your life, in death, is when you're laying there in a box that your family paid an arm and a leg to have you lay there so people could come, gawk at you, cry, reminisce a little bit, close the box, put you in the ground or put you in the fucking fire pit, and go about their business until that repetitiveness goes around and around again. And you're only remembered by those who loved you and those that you had a special impact in your life. That's the only existence, significance, and or meaning you have in life, is those are around you that you affect in a positive way. I didn't go to my grandmother's funeral. I'm not going to sit here and talk about my family. I didn't go to my grandmother's funeral, my last one, because of other situations. I lost my phone, so I can't look at her pictures no more or the video of her. She looked beautiful, though. Same home as my brother. Same funeral home and everything. I lost a lot of people over the years. You know, they say you can tell when you get older when you start losing people around you. I lost a lot of friends up here, real friends up here on YouTube. I lost my boy Victor Rosario. He was more of a brother than a friend, and because of him, I met another brother, another friend who became a brother, which is Luis Pepe. The kind of real motherfucker I am, I went down to Florida, spent the week, lived and slept in his bed. I used the restroom and took showers in the same place, in his bathroom. The same place, same spot where he lost his life, where he took his last breath. Me and my son Isaiah. We were there for everybody's emotional support. Me and Isaiah was there for his mother, his father, and his brother, and vice versa. We sat back, reminisced. These are people that only knew me through him. His mom and father met me 3 times. 3 times. But because of the kind of man that they raised. And these are Italians. I'm a black guy from the hood. His mom come from money. From Staten Island. And, you know, she had a business in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn. You can't be poor owning a business in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn. Then they moved to Jersey, and she lived in a very, very great neighborhood in Central/South Jersey. Beautiful home. She moved to a bigger gated community in Florida. So Lou did not come from a broken down or beat up or a middle class family. His family was upper class. This guy that they met 3 times, black guy, black nigga from the hood, come spend time in their house. She never called me up talking about something's missing. They never had to worry about waking up with their throat sliced. They never had to wake up worrying about anything missing, anything out of place. They welcomed me and my son to eat with them, sleep with them, drink with them, defecate with them, urinate with them, reminisce with them, mourn with them, grieve with them, same thing, laugh with them, memorize with them, and we said our goodbyes. That's the kind of person I am. Whether people like me or not, I've always been one of the realest motherfuckers up here. I am not a soft-spoken person. That's not my vocabulary. I'm a straight shooter, straight up, call a spade kind of guy. I've been like that my whole life, always will be. That's why I can count a handful of people on me. And a lot of people know my dark sense of humor. For those who know me, like, he don't mean nothing by it. That's just him. That's just me. I'm always going to be me. I will never be something or someone I'm not. That's not my persona. That's not how I try to be. You accept me for me, or you don't have to accept me at all. Either way you look at it, I'm going to continue being me because I'm not out here to impress or please anyone. I didn't try to please and impress my wife. That's why we're still together. I never try to sit here and be or act like I'm somebody I'm not to my children. My children know who they got and what they have. And I'm glad they're proud of it because my 22-year-old Mike Jr. looks like, well, he looks like both of us, but he really, really looks like me. It's funny how him, his brother, and his sister look alike. You can tell they brothers and sisters, but at the same time, he's a carving image of me. My daughter looks like both of us. Thank God she's pretty and really like my wife, and she got that complexion. And Isaiah looks like his mother as well. But all 3 of them look alike. Even though Isaiah and Michelle look more like their mom than me, Mikey does look more like me than his mother. But at the same time, you put all 3 of them together, and you can clearly see that they resemble each other. My daughter is a college grad, no babies, no children, doing her thing, doing 2 jobs and an internship, living on her own in Harlem. My 22-year-old got 2 cars, working, busting his butt, never been in trouble with the law, doing his thing. My 13-year-old brat is doing his thing. His brothers and sisters take care of him along with his mother and father. I mean, you know, there's a lot of hiccups with him nowadays than not. But at the end of the day, I'm proud to say I consider myself a good father along with my wife. And we bust our ass to have what we have when we didn't grow up with that. My wife came here when she was 13. Didn't even know how to say hi in English. Did not know how to say hello in English. She speaks perfect. She still has an accent. She speaks perfect English. She speaks a little bit of Chinese. She speaks Creole, a little bit of French, and English. All my dumb ass speak is English and broken English, or nigger-ish. That's it. Ebonics. That's what I speak. You know what I'm saying? But you know, we all together as human beings on this planet need to stop. They breed people like Chris Donner. This guy thought he had no other way out, no other alternative, and to make a name, not really for himself, just to let them feel our pain. He did the unthinkable and killed a whole bunch of innocent people. Regardless of what outfit they wear and what color they are, it was still wrong. Because those are still people's parents, people's children. And not everybody in the LAPD or everybody on the police department deserved that and or share those opinions or thoughts on other officers, regardless of how they may or may not have been brought up themselves and or on actions that they had nothing to do with. And they burnt and shot his ass up to death in the cabin. Moving on to Michael Xavier Johnson. This brother got tired of what went on with Eric Garner and shit, and he got backed in the corner. He decided to kill a whole bunch of cops in Texas. They used a roving robot to blow his ass up because they didn't know where he was, and because his shot and his skills and shots were so precise, they didn't want to sacrifice another human life, so they used a robot to blow him up. DC bombers, that's just a whole nother thing. Then we got this last Neanderthal, this other brother who was ranting on YouTube and doing all this other crazy shit, and he decided to go into the subway and shoot up a whole bunch of people. Nobody died, but he shot up a whole bunch of people. And then I know some people that was like, you know, that's the one thing we had as niggas, as black folks, is not to do dumb shit white people doing. This motherfucking dumb, fat, retarded ass idiot go out there and do that shit. And if you're going to do some dumb shit like that, motherfucker, at least go to Staten Island or to a white neighborhood and do that. And this person said this shit to me at the Meadowlands. Of course, he was a person of color. He was actually Hispanic. And I looked at him and I said, yo, man, get away from me. It's too early in the morning from that. Get away from me with that shit. And he was like, damn, bro, I watch your videos. You serious? I said, yo, the way you're going about it and what you're saying is why I don't believe in what you're saying. People think just because I talk straight facts. There's no straight facts or no good facts or no good at anybody opening up to civilians or even in a court building killing innocent people just because of job occupation or whatever. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of things I feel, but I would never go out there and react it or do it because it's wrong. I grew up with morals, and as a human being, as a person of color, you know how many times I go out in the street and I drive through certain neighborhoods and people look through the windows, and sometimes people look at me funny. They hold their purse, and even when I go in Target and stuff, just the way I look sometimes, I get a lot of white women holding their kid and doing all types of crazy shit. Half the time I don't even pay them no mind. I just walk right through them. Sometimes I'm in a real bad mood. I look at them like, what the fuck is your problem? I would say that. And I'm like, what the fuck is your problem? I would say, sometimes I do come out, depending. And I keep it moving. But most of the time half the time I just ignore them and keep going about my business. Because, you know, I'm the kind of person that if a Karen come up to me, I'm going to jail because there's going to be a video of another violent nigga beating up some bitch. I am not that dude that's going to stand there and take a Karen beating up in my face. I know y'all might say, that's kind of hypocritical what you're saying. No, it's not hypocritical. Not everybody can deal with that shit. And I'm that kind of dude that if you come up to me and you disrespecting you in my face and I feel violated, I'm going to violate you first. That's me. It doesn't mean I'm hypocritical because, you know, the last 6 or 7 minutes of what you heard, you're like, it's not hypocritical. It's straight facts on what I would do. Not everybody's built to deal with Karens and crazy, sick, sadistic people. This is why the higher being or whatever hell out there, whatever force out there, makes sure that I'm not around a racist, messed up cop who would try to do some crazy shit because I'll be on the run. It's just that simple. I'm not lying. You know, there's a lot of things that go on in my life that, you know, the higher being makes sure I'm never... You know what I mean? Because things will not work out perfect or good. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not just a person that talk this shit to say. Anybody who know me and know me enough know that, yeah, that nigga telling the truth and yo, he's straightforward with it. I believe that. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, this country breeds domestic terrorism. This country wants it. This country wants y'all to be divided so they can conquer. This country want whites and blacks and every other race to fight each other. You know, you got motherfuckers out here fighting over street corners that been there longer than their granddaddy been alive. You know, motherfuckers don't even own, half of motherfuckers don't even own the sneakers on their feet. They got their cousin Ray Ray's sneakers on their feet because they don't own their own. They living with Ray Ray and Auntie Google. You know what I'm saying? In the projects. And then they outside selling drugs and only come upstairs with $120 in their pocket because they done smoked away 60 of it. And that's a revolving door. And then they go and they get up with some girl. They get her pregnant. And now we're taking care of her child because now this dude and his cousin are brought up on charges for killing somebody, stabbing him, and now they going to jail. Now this other little Ray Ray Jr. is now going to grow up to recycle that same thing. But at the same time, where are these so-called leaders? Where's Reverend Al Sharpton and Black Lives Matter movement? Where are all these so-called organizations for its own people? The only time niggas want to get together is when a bunch of us get killed senseless by some wicked ass sadistic white person. I would never sit here and take up for this white kid. I don't know, nor do I give a flying fuck what went on in his head to do what he did. People lost their lives and he did what he did because of the color of their skin. And that shit starts and comes from somewhere. If y'all can lock up parents for children doing dumb shit in school, you should lock up parents, even if their kids are 22 years old or 28 years old, when they go out there and do senseless shit like this. You need to start being held fucking accountable because these ideas just don't grow in their fucking head from playing a video game or listening to some crazy ass, backwards redneck ass album or song, and the damn shit don't come, from all that built-in hate because of their friend or the impressions that others leave on them. This shit starts at fucking home. Everything starts at home. When you sit back and hear, motherfucker, look at these niggas, look at these people. You get, and it's funny because a lot of nowadays, believe it or not, you got a lot more Caucasian women in their fucking 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s that are still alive that statistic show that they're more racist, more racist and have more anger and hatred toward any minority than white men. And this may shock y'all, but yeah, believe it or not, it's statistically proven and straight facts. And this is sad. I had to sit here and watch this shit crying, bro. That's why when I first started this video, I had to take a deep breath and just start talking about other stuff, because to sit there and watch that beautiful little 12-year-old boy crying, his mom crying. Yeah, she was divorced from his father, but that's still love. That's still the father of her child. Regardless of what they went through life, he was a good father, she said it herself. And her child lost his father. This child will never see his father again. He's going to see his father for 2 days, if that. And then when they close that casket, this kid's going to have to grow up having fear of people. He may develop and have a lot of hatred toward white folks because a crazy-ass white dude killed his father. Now, how can you teach that? How can you tell a child that's okay? And now he already grows up in school knowing the history of America and knowing that he see and hear a lot of shit from his parents, what a lot of white folks do. And I'm pretty sure he was raised right to them saying that not all cops are like this, not all this and that. So now this kid got to grow up being wary of everything. Now he may sit there and have some kind of psychotic episode if he goes into a fucking store. You don't know, he might go back. What if he wakes up and somebody tells his mother, he's like, oh, where's mom? Oh, she went to the grocery store, or she went to the supermarket. He may go crazy. He may be home. He may, you never know. I had to sit there and cry. I don't even know these people. And see this 12-year-old child crying. He couldn't even say a word, covering his eyes. When I saw him, all I saw was Isaiah. My youngest is 13. I love all three of my kids equally. But I saw Isaiah. He's 12. This kid is 12 years old. Isaiah is 13. I saw Isaiah crying because I was gone. When me and Isaiah was gone for a week, my wife and my kids was so happy to see us. My wife was like, this house was so empty without you being here. When our cousin-in-law, my wife's cousin's late husband, Brenton Cole, passed away. He was a New York City detective. When he passed away on December 12th, and she called me up. This is a Tuesday morning. I just got my appetite back. just got my appetite back. So I ate breakfast. And from Burger King. I just had an appetite and I was eating. And I get a phone call from her. And I'm like, what's going on? And she started crying. I automatically lost my appetite. And I was hatefully angry. Because she called me up crying. I didn't know what happened. I'm thinking something happened. I'm thinking that somebody robbed her. Maybe, God forbid, somebody raped her. I'm thinking all types of shit going on in my head. Because I've never heard her on the phone crying like that. So I call, yeah, Mike. And she is on the phone fucking wailing. I'm in an expedition. And people are outside of red, white, and blue. And they're lined up. And people are like, what? People coming to the car doing all this. Like, what the fuck? I'm on the phone bugging the fuck out, yo. I've never been that terrified in my life. She's on the phone wailing, yo, you know I love you, right? You know, I'm thinking that she might, well, what the fuck happened in her life? Was she gonna kill us? I'm thinking all types of shit. Oh my God, did something happen to Michelle? Because Michelle lives in Harlem now. Did something happen to Mikey? Did something happen to Isaiah? Did she get raped? Did she get hurt? Is she dying? Like, you know, I'm thinking all types of crazy shit going on in my head. And she's like, you know, I love you. Yo, this is why we need to spend time with each other. I'm thinking, I'm going, like, what the fuck is wrong with you? I'm bugging out. And I hate to sound selfish, but the relief I had when she said, you know, Britton died, right? I was like, what? I put out a crazy what? Like yell. And it's like a sign of release and remorse came over me at the same time. Release that. Like I hate to say it, but it was like a selfish release. Like I felt so great that nothing happened to my children or her, but then but it hit me, and I'm like, yo, this is the greatest guy on earth. I love this fucking dude. And knowing that he lost his life and he was no longer there, and it's like when I walked inside, I was like bugging out, and then everybody was like, yo, I just started breaking down. It hit me. I started looking at I broke down. I couldn't deal with it no more. I had to leave. People come up to me, yo, you all right? And I mean, I was bugging out. I lost it inside that store. And it's like, it's crazy, man. And to see his kids, his son, Jason, his daughters, his wife, to see them, I mean, that look. And then even the way Jason was looking at the burial site, the way he was looking the whole time when they was lowering his father in the ground, all the way up till they start covering, this kid did not miss a beat. Like the look in his face, his body language. His sisters were filming it, and so was his mother. But she's a grown woman. This is a child that just entered college, who just lost his best friend, his hero. You know what I'm saying? His father was his everything. And to see a child lose a parent is a lot different than seeing a wife or husband lose the wife or husband. It's a whole different ball game. It's just as bad as a parent losing a child. I always hope I leave this earth before any of my kids. I always ask for that. I do not want to bury my children. Are not going to bury me. I am not going to bury one of my children. My children are going to bury me. I am a strong believer in that, and I hope I leave this earth with that. I would not want to be alive knowing that I'm going to put one of my kids in the ground, or my wife. I want to leave first. And I would give my life in the blink of a G.I. Joe eye. Without even being selfish, like, damn, but if I die before this person, I'm going to miss all that. Fuck that. Let me go first. Or take me. Leave them the fuck alone. I'm good. And I'm not a person that say shit to say shit. I'm a person that say shit to do shit and do shit to mean it. That's me all day. And to see this 12-year-old child crying with his eyes like this, that shit had me. I mean, I was up here wailing, man, wailing. That hurt me more than the aunt going up there talking about the nephew, the son up there talking about his mom. That hurt me more than anything. Seeing that little 12-year-old kid couldn't even say nothing. He had his eyes covered, and then when I saw Al Sharpton hugging this kid and this kid just embracing him, that really hit the pot. That really broke me down. And it's sad. I mean, this country needs to stop this shit. Y'all can sit here and protect these Asians and everybody else out there, but you still can't protect black folks from this shit. Y'all need to start fucking executing people. When people do shit like mass shootings like this, they need to be executed. If you could execute a white dude for blowing up a fucking federal building, you should automatically, within a year, execute a motherfucking sick ass white person for taking lives of other people. That's bullshit. That's for any race, but stop it.